Manchester United submit bid for Leny Yoro. Erik ten Hag and Ineos could mutually agree to an exit. And Jadon Sancho apparently will not be moving back to Borussia Dortmund. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this evening's live show. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 200 likes on this evening's show. And if this is your first time watching the channel, please do subscribe. I'll be live throughout the whole of the transfer window with a video in the morning, a video in the evening, and whenever anything breaks, I do go live as well. So if you want to keep up to date with all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk, please do subscribe here on Daily Red Devil. You are more than welcome. Right, that was a bit of a tongue twister there. Massive show to get into tonight, guys. So much to discuss. Transfer related things. Obviously, lots to get into about Erik ten Hag as well. Make sure you get your comments in as well, everybody. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what you think is going to happen with Erik ten Hag. Now, I've got a question to ask you. The question is this. What do you think Ineos are going to do with Erik ten Hag? Let me know. Now, I want you to take away all of your own personal feeling and emotion. I want you to let me know what you think Ineos will decide to do. So not what you want to happen, but what decision do you think Ineos are going to make? So we'll talk about that in depth in a minute, but get your comments in. Let me know in the comments section, guys. What do you think Ineos' decision will be? Right, let's start off the show with some transfer-related stuff. So we're going to talk about Jadon Sancho quickly. The story's coming out from Sport Bild, which is obviously a very reliable outlet over in Germany, and they're reporting that it is very unlikely that Borussia Dortmund will sign Jadon Sancho from Manchester United permanently. It goes on to say that they would love to keep him, but they are not willing to buy him. Honestly, it's laughable, isn't it? And then the story says that Jadon Sancho is not a priority signing for Borussia Dortmund. I mean, it's literally laughable. But then the story says that they're apparently going to go to Manchester United and ask them for a loan. I mean, Borussia Dortmund think we're a bunch of mugs, don't they? And in all fairness, we have been clowns for the last 10 years. You know, we've handled ourselves embarrassingly on the transfer market. And no wonder other clubs think that they can treat us like this. Because they have done. And they've got away with it for the last decade. You know, when John Murtough was here, Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold, we were literally a laughingstock. But what I most want from Ineos is that they're going to stamp their authority. They're going to turn around to Dortmund and say, you don't want to pay for him? You're not having him then. Simple as that. You don't want to give us 40, 50 million for Jadon Sancho, which is still about 30 million less than what we paid for him 2 seasons ago. You're not willing to give that money to us? Don't worry then. You're not going to have him. We're not going to loan him to you, because the biggest irony of this whole situation is that Manchester United have been paying half of Jadon Sancho's wages since he's been on loan at Dortmund. I mean, it's literally laughable. And then even after that, they get to a Champions League final. They've qualified for the Champions League next season. They've made loads of money this season. They sold Jude Bellingham for 100 million last season. They're now trying to tell us that they don't want to sign him on a permanent deal. Like, it's complete crap, but I think it's hardly surprising. And, you know, most clubs around Europe are looking at the situation and thinking that they can still treat us like how they have over the last 10 years. And it's effectively up to Ineos to really, really stamp their authority. But let me know what you guys think about Jadon Sancho. Do you think he'll... I said it on the show this morning, right? If it was up to me, I would bring Jadon Sancho back if Dortmund don't want him and say to him, you need to apologise to the fans at the very minimum. You know, he has a proven track record of having a poor mentality, turning up late for training, not putting in 100%, etc. If he's willing to apologise to the fans, I think, you know, why not? Bring him back, give him another chance. But if he doesn't want to do that, then just let him go and play in the under-21s. You know, obviously if another club's going to buy him, but who do you really think is going to buy Jadon Sancho? Like, there isn't many options out there. I don't think any Premier League clubs will go for him. Dortmund was the most likely option. They don't want to sign him. I mean, clubs in Saudi will want to sign him, but he doesn't want to move to Saudi. So, yeah, it's a really, really difficult position. And I think Man United need to act really, really carefully with this one, because lots of other players are going to look at this. They're going to look at this as kind of a benchmark on how Manchester United are going to operate going forward. And they really, really need to do this properly. So hopefully they deal with it. Right, let's talk a little bit about Erik ten Hag then, because more and more stories are coming out about Erik ten Hag. And there's a report this evening that apparently there is a chance that... So there's a chance that apparently, let me just read the story out for you. So this is coming from a very reliable source in the Netherlands that gets really good information around Erik ten Hag and's put out some really, really truthful bits of news over the last couple of weeks. And they're reporting this evening that Erik ten Hag is currently on holiday as he ponders his future at Manchester United or elsewhere. It says that there is doubt from Manchester United and from Ten Hag about whether they will end up continuing together. It says the most likely scenario is that they'll part ways amicably. I mean, I said this a while ago, that Ineos might go to Erik ten Hag and say, we want to keep you, but you're not going to sign the players. We're going to tell you how you want to play. Some of the stories I've seen have said that then they're going to even decide when he's allowed to do training and that they're going to control the training sessions. Like, effectively, his job would just be a coach. His job will be given at the beginning of a training session what they're going to do by Jason Wilcox, and he will then be expected to go out there and tell the players what to do. Like, you've gone from being the manager of Manchester United, buying any player you want, doing whatever you want, like having all of the authority with the Glazers, which maybe was wrong, maybe was right. That's a whole conversation for another day, to going from Ineos, who are literally saying no control over transfers, play the style of play we decide, and if not, you're out. And we'll decide when the players train. We'll decide how the players train. Like, it's crazy. But that's how Ineos want things to run. Maybe it will work. Maybe it won't work. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. In some ways, to be completely honest with you, this is me trying to take my emotion out of it. I obviously want Erik ten Hag to stay. But I think what Ineos want from Erik ten Hag or from any manager isn't going to work with Erik ten Hag. We know that he wants authority. We know that he wants to, to control the training, control the transfers and all the rest of it. And Ineos aren't willing to give that to him. So if they're not willing to give that to him and Erik ten Hag wants that, then in some ways, what is the point of carrying on? Now, this isn't me by any means saying I want Erik ten Hag to go. I'm just trying to look at this in a more diplomatic way, because it's easy for me to sit here and scream at the camera and say, Ineos are a joke, they're worse than the Glazers. Like, that's kind of lazy. It's lazy analysis. Really, isn't it? Because we all think that at the moment, that we're unsure about their decision. But if you actually try and look at it from the other side's perspective, Ineos want to come in, they want to control things, they want to change the philosophy, they want to change the mentality and all of these things, right? They're bringing in Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth. They're bringing in this whole new elite management team. And is that management team that are going to effectively control how Manchester United operate over the next 10, 20, 30 years? And if Erik ten Hag isn't willing to be part of how they want to run it, then it's clearly not going to work. And I think that's why, we're linked to people like De Zerbi. De Zerbi went to Brighton and operated exactly how Ineos want a manager to operate. He did exactly what he was told. He was given players. He had no say in it. He was told the style of play and he went and implemented it. That was how De Zerbi worked at Brighton, and it worked well. Poch, I think, is kind of the same. Tottenham are notorious for being a very difficult club for managers to go and work at. And Poch was there for 5 years. He was a fan favourite. He did well. He got the best out of players. So when you look at the managers that we're linked to, none of them inspire us, but all of them are yes men. All of them who are people who will listen to Ineos. They'll answer to them and they'll do exactly what they want. And from what I'm hearing, that's what Ineos want from their manager. In fact, forget the word manager, okay? Whoever we sign, if Erik ten Hag leaves, we won't be getting a manager. We'll be getting a head coach. A manager has way more authority than a head coach. I know people are thinking, like, what are you talking about? It's just a word, it's just a name. But they want a coach, a head coach, somebody who comes in. Do you see where I'm going with this? Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour, we've got over 500 people watching live, which is absolutely incredible. Please do smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 200 likes on the show. If everyone likes the video right now, we will hit that immediately. So please go and do that. And if this is your first time watching today, please do subscribe to the channel as well. I will be live throughout the whole of the transfer window. I always do a video in the morning, a video in the evening, and if anything breaks during the day, I do go live as well. So make sure you subscribe to Daily Red Devil. We're very, very close to 23,000 subscribers, guys. So if we hit 23,000 subscribers on this video now, I will give out some sort of prize. I don't know what it is yet. Let me know what you want the prize to be. But yeah, everyone go and subscribe. And if we hit 23,000 by the end of this stream, I will give out a prize to somebody in the comment section. So yeah, right, back to Erik ten Hag then. So again, the same journalist, very reliable source in the Netherlands, is reporting that there have been extensive discussions at Manchester United over the past week about Erik ten Hag's future. And part of the delay is due to the risk Sir Jim Ratcliffe sees in any decision. He says that whether Jim Ratcliffe chooses to stick with Erik ten Hag or let him go, the success will rest on the rest of the management team he's putting in place. So what this story, obviously, I think this story was written in Dutch, so there's a bit of a translation, difference or whatever. But effectively what this story is saying, and it's what I've been saying on the show for months, or not for months, for weeks, is that no matter what Jim Ratcliffe does, he is the one who's going to take the blame because he's the face of Ineos. If he sacks Erik ten Hag and brings in De Zerbi and it goes badly, he's going to be the one that's to blame. If Erik ten Hag then goes and does well at another club and we fail, Jim Ratcliffe's going to be the one to blame. But then if you look at it on the flip side, if he keeps Erik ten Hag, takes away all of his authority, stops him from signing players, stops him from, picking when the training sessions are, which is apparently what they want to do, and then it doesn't work, he will also be to blame. So effectively, no matter what Jim Ratcliffe does, he's going to be to blame. It's a really difficult situation, and I can see why they're worried about it. But at the same time, Ineos led us to believe that they knew what they were doing, And if they're too scared to make a decision because of fan backlash, then that's just not what we need, is it, really? If they don't want Erik ten Hag, they want somebody, as I said, who does exactly what they say, then I don't know who... I mean, that person's probably Graham Potter, isn't it? It literally makes me feel sick thinking about it. Or Gareth Southgate. Those are the types of people who will come in. Or an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like, those types of people. Smiley faces, good in press conferences, get along with the players, but effectively all their job... All they're there to do is to be a puppet, to be a mouthpiece for the owners. And then if it goes wrong, they'll be the ones who take the blame. Whereas I think, in all fairness to Erik ten Hag, right, and I think most of you will agree with this, Erik ten Hag has taken so much criticism this year, right, from the media. It's been absolutely disgraceful. Remember, on the eve of the FA Cup, some journalists were coming out saying he'd been sacked and that their information was that he'd been sacked. Erik ten Hag not once has complained. He's not once, called out the board, not once called out the Glazers. Like, he has done a really, really good job in that sense, I think. But it still might not be enough. Let's see what else people are saying in the comment section. Get your comments in as well, guys. Let me know what you think about the Erik ten Hag situation. I will read out some of your comments in a minute. And everyone who's just joined, please do like the video. We've got nearly 700 people watching now, guys. So let's see how many people we can end the video on. And I said if we hit 23,000 subscribers by the end of this video, I will give out a prize to somebody. We're only about 100 off, so everybody who's new, go and hit subscribe, and yeah, let's try and hit 23,000. Right, let's have a look what people are saying in the comment section. Malk says, why did De Zerbi leave Brighton? That's a good question. Really, really good question. My understanding is that this was from a reliable source, that apparently De Zerbi left Brighton because there was interest from other clubs. Another club were apparently in talks with him. A journalist even said a couple of weeks ago that a secret club had apparently already agreed a compensation fee with Brighton. I mean, that could be it. It could be Manchester United. He's not going to go to Napoli. They've just got a manager. Juventus have just got a manager. I honestly, I could easily see De Zerbi as the next Manchester United manager. I could. I think he would be... For what Ineos want, okay? Again, I just want to emphasise, I want Erik ten Hag to stay. And I think that sometimes gets diluted in these videos and people are like, why are you saying Erik ten Hag out? I'm not. I want Erik ten Hag to stay. But if I'm Ineos, all right, forget all of your emotional attachment to Erik ten Hag. Imagine you're Jim Ratcliffe and Sir Dave Brailsford. You want a yes man who will do what you say, doesn't want involvement in the transfers. De Zerbi's perfect. Because at Brighton, that's exactly how they operate. And it works well at Brighton. And Ineos are trying to create that same atmosphere at a club like Brighton, which, being completely honest, right, in the long run, that will be better for us to have that type of atmosphere where You know, if you watch any of the interviews with the Brighton owners and the directors of football, etc., Brighton already know who their next 3 managers are. They already have it all worked out. They already have the plan in place. So the same with their transfers. They know who they're signing for the next 3 or 4 transfer windows. Whereas Man United, up until this point, have just made it up as they go along. You know, each summer they'll sign different players that match a different system. And then the next year there'll be a new manager and they'll say, oh, these players don't match our system anymore. Let's sign somebody different. Do you see what I mean? Like, Brighton don't do that. It's very meticulous. It's very planned. And the people are actually doing most of the work who are above the manager. The manager is just a coach. He's just the leader of the coaches. And from my understanding, that's what Ineos want. And as I just said, guys, being completely honest and transparent, I don't think Erik ten Hag will work if that's what Ineos want from him. I just don't think it will work. David says De Zerbi has said he wants to remain in the Premier League. Yeah, I mean, where else is De Zerbi going to go? Chelsea have got a manager. The only club who don't have a manager is Man United. There isn't anybody else. Let's do a little poll, shall we? Let's do a poll. So the question's going to be this. If Ten Hag, whilst I set up the poll, everyone smash a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. So the question is this. If Ten Hag is sacked, who should be the manager? Simple question, all right, guys? Anybody who's watching the video back on repeat, let me know in the comments section. You can just put the name of the manager. So we've got Thomas Tuchel, Thomas Frank, Roberto De Zerbi, and Poch. So anybody who's watching the video back on repeat and obviously can't get involved in the live video, then put the name in the comment section. If Erik ten Hag is sacked, who would you like to be the new Manchester United manager? And if you are watching this back on repeat, guys, if you want to get involved in these live videos, it's interactive. I'm live at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. So that's UK time. So for anybody who wants to get involved in the live show next time, come and join us at 11 or 6 p.m. Some people in the chat are saying, I don't want any of those people. That's completely fine. If you don't want any of them, just write the name in the comment section and I'll try and read out as many as possible. Let's see what else people are saying. Somebody says, De Zerbi did not do well at Brighton because he did not have a say in the transfers. A manager should have a certain power in the final recruitment. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, mate, but I think if you want to run a competent football club, as I said, like Brighton, you need to know who you're signing for the next 3 or 4 windows. You need to know who you're selling for the next 3 or 4 windows. And you need to have a plan in place that if the manager is sacked, who that new manager is going to be. Because otherwise you're in the situation where we are. We're 2 weeks since the FA Cup final and we still don't know. We still don't know what players we're going to sign. We still don't know what play style we're going to do next season, you know? And that's not good enough, I'm sorry. So there's some breaking news coming out right now live. This is coming from Jamie Jackson, who is a journalist for various different people in the UK, very reliable journalist, and he's saying that the Manchester United season review of Ten Hag will not go beyond this week. So by Friday, we'll know exactly what's going on with Erik ten Hag. I'm going to give my opinion, right? I personally think that Erik ten Hag will be sacked, to be honest. It's not what I want, but from what I've heard, again, this is from reliable sources, is that apparently they're waiting until he comes back from holiday. He's in Ibiza at the moment, probably have an amazing time, you know. But apparently he's going to be back in the next couple of days in Manchester. And my understanding is that they'll announce it then. And I think he will go, to be honest. I would be very, very surprised. But obviously Jim Ratcliffe has a massive decision to make here, because 80 to 85% of the Man United fan base, from what I've seen in various polls, want Erik ten Hag to stay. So if he lets Erik ten Hag go, he's going to have made a very unpopular decision 6 months into his reign. We've still got the debt. The stadium, apparently they're not going to even know what they want to do until the end of the year at a minimum. Obviously, we haven't signed or sold any players, which is fine. The transfer window hasn't opened. But so far, I mean, we don't have a director of football. The CEO doesn't start for another month. So far, all we've got is a director of football from Southampton who were in the Championship last season. That's all we've effectively done, you know? So when you pair that with them making an unpopular decision, the fan base are going to be unhappy. Now, just to be very, very clear, I understand they've only been here for 6 months, okay? I'm not by any means saying that Ineos out. I'm fully backing Ineos. I think they're going to be much better than the Glazers. I think they're going to turn things around. But I'm just saying it's going to be an unpopular decision, and they're going to have a lot of answering to do if they decide to sack Erik ten Hag. You know, imagine if they cleared the debt. The new stadium was already in progress, or at least the roof was being repaired, whatever. I think the mood would be a bit different. But at the moment, everyone's kind of sat here scratching their head saying, are they any better than the Glazers? I think we were doing a video yesterday, and trending on Twitter was Glazers 2.0 with Ineos tagged in it as well. And there was about 20,000 people on Twitter who'd written this hashtag, Glazers 2.0 Ineos. So, you know, to have only been here for 5 months and to be already being compared to the Glazers, it's not good, is it? Welcome to Jeff, who's just joined the Daily Red Devil Members Club. Thank you very much for your support, my friend. I really, really do appreciate it. If you do want to join the Members Club, hit the $sign. Obviously, any support is, of course, appreciated. If you're not in a position to support the channel financially, leaving a like helps. It brings in more people, or subscribe to the channel as well. Live every single day. So make sure you get involved if you want to keep up to date with all of the latest Man United news. We're on the road to 23,000 subscribers, guys. We're very, very close. So do make sure you go and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's move on from Ten Hag. Let's talk a little bit about Leny Yoro. So the headline this evening, coming from a very reliable source in France and a reliable source in Spain, is that Manchester United have apparently made an offer of 60 million euros or 51 million pounds for Leny Yoro. The story goes on to say that Real Madrid have told Leny Yoro to wait and resist big offers. The club wants to sign him and contacts are ongoing. Now, my understanding is that Leny Yoro is going to end up at Real Madrid. He's their number one target. That's been known for 6 months, maybe longer. But Manchester United have made an offer. Apparently, the agents of Leny Yoro were at Carrington today, but they also represent lots of other different players. They represent João Neves, who obviously plays for Benfica. They represent loads of people. It's the agency that Jorge Mendes, Cristiano Ronaldo's agent, owns. So they manage loads and loads of players. But yeah, apparently a bid's gone in for 60 million euros, 51 million pounds. It doesn't seem like... I don't think he'll come to Manchester United personally. You know, he's a name that's been linked to Real Madrid for so long. And being completely honest, when Real Madrid come knocking, why would you come to Manchester United, you know? Obviously, if you're like a Man United boyhood fan, then great. But he isn't. So you could either go to a team who's just won 15 Champions Leagues or have won 15 Champions Leagues, are going to be in the Champions League next season. I've got Jude Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. Or you could come to Manchester United, where our best player, Bruno Fernandes, could quite possibly leave. And our second player, Marcus Rashford, God knows what's going on with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest, we're levels behind Real Madrid. So I think the likelihood of Leny Yoro coming to Manchester United is extremely small. Daniel says, I think the Leny Yoro story is a smokescreen to cover up the delay. You know what, mate? I actually agree with you. This week so far, we've had United submitting offers for Leny Yoro. We've had United supposedly submitting offers for Benjamin Sesko. We've had all of these things happening, right? None of these offers have been accepted. And we still don't know what's going on with the manager. And I actually agree with you, mate. I actually really, really do agree with you. I think a lot of these stories are just to cover up for the delay, to cover up for the lack of leadership, to cover up for the uncertainty, and effectively to cover up from the bad management that's going on at the moment. You know, we're 2 weeks pretty much since that FA Cup final, and we still don't know what's going on. We're still having to pull stories from journalists who are saying that Erik ten Hag's in Ibiza and he's back in a couple of days and we should find out then. One of the things that actually excited me about Ineos was that they said they were going to communicate with the fans. Was that they said that it would be different to the Glazers. They acknowledged that the Glazers didn't communicate, you know? I think the Glazer family did one interview with the Manchester United fans once, and that was after the Super League thing. And they did it with the Manchester United Supporters Trust. They don't do interviews. They don't speak. And Jim Ratcliffe did all of those kind of tick box interviews at first where he said, oh, I'm a local lad. I want to bring the Manchester back to Manchester, which is great. You know, that's amazing. It's he's come from nothing, Manchester boy. and he's a billionaire, and he's got a stake in Man United. I mean, every one of us would love that to be us, wouldn't they? But at the end of the day, right, we're Man United fans. I don't really care whether you were born 5 meters around from the stadium. That you still have to actually show us something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't get brownie points in the bank just because you were born around the corner from the stadium. I want what's best for Manchester United. I don't really care what's on your passport or on your birth certificate. That doesn't bother me. I wanted the debt cleared. That didn't happen. Anyway, I don't want to go into the whole ownership thing. I think it's, you're going around in circles. We have Ineos. Mark says, have you had new thumbs? Yes, I have had new thumbs. Yes, no, I haven't. I've cut my thumbs, so I've had to put some tape on it. Right, let's move on from that, though. Let's move on to... Obviously, we spoke about Leny Yoro. I don't think that deal will happen, personally. I don't think Benjamin Sesko will happen either. I think, all of these players have, let's be honest, better options on the table. Benjamin Sesko is going to end up at Arsenal, I think. Leny Yoro is going to end up at Real Madrid. God knows who we're going to end up with. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just being realistic, We don't have Champions League football. Apparently... apparently we can't even sign anybody till July the 1st because of financial fair play. So, all of these other teams have money and are available to do things now. And we're kind of sat on our hands saying, give us a couple of weeks, please. Why would they do that? Let's have a little look at the poll then. So the question was simple. If Erik ten Hag is sacked, who should be the new manager? 39% of you want Tuchel. Sorry, 37% of you want Tuchel. 39% of you want De Zerbi, 7% say Thomas Frank, and 18% say Poch. As I said earlier on in the video, I think De Zerbi would probably be the best manager for how Ineos want the club to be run. That's my stance on it. I explained why earlier on in the video, but effectively that they want a head coach. Whereas Erik ten Hag wants to be a manager. He wants to have say. He wants to have involvement. He wants to know that his voice is going to be heard. And being completely honest, if I'm Ineos, I'm looking at Erik ten Hag's signings thinking, I don't want you to have any say on the signings, mate. I'm sorry. Antony's been a failure. Mason Mount was extremely questionable. Onana, most of the fan base thought De Gea should have stayed. And he's been okay, but I don't think he's been better than De Gea. Who else? I mean, Malacia... I thought was average in his first season, has been injured all year. Martinez obviously was amazing for the first 8 months and then's been injured the whole rest of the time. Who else is there? Rasmus Højlund, I think, is a good signing, but for 70 million was like, do you know what? Casemiro, again, questionable. Yeah, but obviously all of the fault doesn't lie on Erik ten Hag there whatsoever. But, Antony was an Erik ten Hag signing. Mason Mount was. Onana was. Malacia was. Martinez was. And can we hand on heart say that any of Erik ten Hag's signings have been a 10 out of 10 so far? I don't think so. I think Martinez would have been if he'd have stayed fit, but he's been injured more than he's been available. So I can understand it from Ineos' perspective as well. From their viewpoint, they're looking at it thinking, why would we give you a say? Your track record to this point has been poor. Somebody says, what has De Zerbi done to become the United manager? I mean, it's a fair point. You make a fair point. De Zerbi has won nothing. But then, I mean, can you really say that Poch has won anything? All Poch has won in his career was the French league with PSG, with a super team who win the league every single year. Like, he never won anything at Tottenham. He got sacked by Chelsea. Like, yeah. To be fair, Roberto De Zerbi won the Ukrainian Super Cup in 2021, so he's won one trophy. I mean, still, though, it's pretty embarrassing, isn't it? David says De Zerbi is a big yes from me. There you go. That's some positivity. Jihan says De Zerbi fits perfectly into the new United system. The system is right. However, the head coach has to have some input. Erik ten Hag signings like Antony and Onana are very poor. Mark says, how good was Maguire this past season? Yeah, mate, Maguire was unbelievable. Daniel says, did you read about Johnny Evans getting a new contract? Yes, I was just about to talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up. So we can confirm that Brandon Williams has left the club. His contract's expired. He is no longer a Manchester United player. So all the best to Brandon Williams. I don't think he was ever good enough to be a Man United player personally, but still, fair play to him. And obviously, I wish him all the best. So Brandon Williams is gone. Apparently, Man United are discussing new contracts for Johnny Evans and Tom Heaton. I'll say this. If Johnny Evans is going to be a 6th choice centre-back, I would keep him. Johnny Evans has contributed more this season than Varane did. He's contributed more than Lindelof. He has contributed more than Martinez as well. Johnny Evans is only on about 50, 60k a week, which I know to me or you is a lot, but when you think Maguire's on 200k a week, to be honest, the way we're operating so far in the transfer window, the fact that, we've missed out on Tosin, Elise looks like he's going to Chelsea, Sesko looks like he's going to go to Arsenal, Leny Yoro looks like he's going to go to Real Madrid, all of our number one options are already going to go to other teams. It seems like so far. I would probably keep Johnny Evans. I mean, a club of our size shouldn't be giving Johnny Evans a contract, but we're still a long, long way away from being a competent run football club, I think. And that's that's not me rubbishing Ineos. They don't have a director of football yet. The CEO hasn't started yet. The only person they've got is Jason Wilcox. They've got one person in the kind of upper management team. It's going to take years to form that team. The team might not even work, So I'm not going to criticise them at this point. They're trying to make changes. And as I've said to you guys before, we have to suffer in any area of life, whatever it is, right? Before you get reward, you have to suffer. You have to work for it. And I think that these next few years are going to be very much suffering. It might be that we have to sell Bruno Fernandes to raise money. It might be that Rashford has to go. We're going to have to make some incredibly tough decisions. And some could even argue that letting Erik ten Hag go could be one of those tough decisions. I don't want it to happen. But maybe we look back on this moment a couple of years down the line and maybe it's for the best. But at the moment, all of the fan base is saying, what the hell are Ineos doing? They're making the wrong decision. And I understand that because football is an emotional sport. We're emotionally invested. But one thing I will say, and I'll say this now, okay? I support Manchester United. I don't support Erik ten Hag. If Erik ten Hag goes, I will be sad. I will be disappointed. I will be confused. I'll be frustrated. But that will pass. And my focus and my love will always be for Man United. A manager is a manager. The players are the players. We have a rich history. I love the club. Not obviously I don't like the Glazers, but you know what I'm trying to get at here, But it is obviously difficult and it's really, really tough. Let's see what else people are saying in the comments. Pig Teat says, I would keep Johnny Evans over Maguire. I would probably agree with you, to be honest. Somebody says, Jason Wilcox is the only person who's been recruited. Why is he pushing for Erik ten Hag to be sacked? Mate, I don't know. Somebody else says, we're more or less stuck with Rashford. No one is going to pay him 350k a week. Dan says, we all love Manchester United, but I don't love Ineos. Mate, I get it. I completely get it. We all wanted the debt gone. We all wanted all of these things we were promised. And we all got given effectively the worst offer on the table, didn't we? The debt remains. The Glazers are still here. God knows what's going on with the stadium. We still seem to be absolutely skint. We can't get rid of players because of wages, etc., 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 etc. Nothing has really changed. The only thing that I can see changing in front of my eyes is that they're trying to form this elite football management team, a director of football, a technical director, a CEO. And that can only improve us. So, as I said, there's going to be a lot of suffering. There's going to be a lot of pain. But, yeah. Stuart says, Erik ten Hag is gone, let's be honest. I said it earlier on in the show, mate. I think Erik ten Hag is gone. I think the silence is deafening. I think they could have nipped this story in the bud a long time ago. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the FA Cup final, and we still don't know what's going on. So, yeah, I probably do agree with you. Dan says, what do you see when you look at Nice? Yeah, I mean, Ineos have failed at Nice, but I don't think there's much point in us just circling around on negativity. You know, I get it. Everyone's upset. Everyone's disappointed. But as I said earlier on in the video, right? If you take all emotion away from it, I think Ineos are thinking about how they want the football club to be run. And Erik ten Hag's roles and responsibilities at the moment as manager don't align with how Ineos want the football club to be run. Okay? It doesn't. Erik ten Hag wants way more authority than what Ineos are willing to give. The agreement that Erik ten Hag has with Manchester United was done by the Glazers. The Glazers were more than happy for the manager to come in and do more than a manager was supposed to do. They were more than happy for him to sign the players, for him to coach the under-21s. Like, Erik ten Hag's been doing way more than what a normal manager would do. And Ineos are looking at it saying, this is not how a football club should be run. And that's why the mutual agreement on him leaving comes into conversation, because it goes two ways. You know, if what Ineos are offering him isn't what Erik ten Hag signed up for, he might say, you know what? I don't want to do this. So, yeah, it's very, very difficult. CBK says it's going to get worse before it gets better. Of course, mate, of course. And I don't want to be the negative burden, but, you know, people who are expecting us to, like, win the Premier League and stuff next year, like, that's not going to happen. It's baby steps. The next step for me would be winning the Europa League. Next season, I want us to win the Europa League. And people were laughing at me in the comment section the other day saying, like, you know, who the hell is this Man United fan whose aspiration is for us to win the Europa League? I would be absolutely buzzing if we won the Europa League. I would. We haven't won the Champions League in God knows how long. We haven't won the Premier League in over 10 years. Like, winning the Europa League would be an achievement for us. It would. I think the Conference League is a little bit pushing it. I'm not going to go as far as saying that, but I genuinely think, you know, if we were to win the Europa League next season and finish in the top 4, that would be a successful season. Whether it's with Erik ten Hag or not, that would be a successful season to me, you know? And it is baby steps. And I know that's frustrating. I know, you know, people expect things to move quicker, but it's just not how the world works, especially with football. Somebody's saying Jamie Jacob. Who's Jamie Jacob? Everyone, we've got over 800 people watching now, guys, which is absolutely amazing. Big ups to you all. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I will be live throughout the whole of the transfer window. Videos, I usually go live at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. UK time, but if anything breaks during the day, I go live as well, so make sure you subscribe. Somebody's telling me to check something out on Twitter in the comment section. Do you mean Jamie Jackson? Do you mean? Saying Jamie Jacobs. Okay, so Jamie Jackson has just put out a story saying that. Yeah, Jamie Jackson's just saying that apparently we'll find out by Friday. So between now and Friday, we'll know what's going on with Erik ten Hag. So, yeah, we'll wait and see what happens there. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It's been an incredible stream. Thank you to everyone who's joined me on the show this evening. Please do smash a like on the video before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be back live tomorrow at 11 a.m. UK time, so make sure you come and join me for that. Have a great evening, everyone. Remember to hit the notification bell as well, because if any news drops about Ten Hag, I will go live immediately, so make sure you subscribe. Have a good night, everyone, and speak to you all later.